Alright, good afternoon to you folks. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Today we've got a new tropical storm, Katia, of course replacing infamous Hurricane Katrina. Of course, are recycling of the names every six years or so, but of course any kind of storm that's been notable for death and destruction tend to retire the name. But we've got a new kid on the block, and it looks as if we're going to need to keep a close eye over the next week or so to see how Katia moves in the Atlantic. I'm going to bring up the satellite and show you that in a wee second. But folks, I want to share a few thoughts regarding the whole thing regarding Irene. There's been an awful lot of articles and an awful lot of talk about the whole aspect of this hurricane being overhyped, and you know, fair enough, it maybe wasn't a Cat 3 or a Cat 5 or something like that, but personally I have a big problem with people wanting to nitpick at the fact that New York City Mayor Bloomberg obviously basically shut down the transport network in New York, things like that. Fair enough, it wasn't 115 to 120, 130 miles an hour when it rattled up the coast. However, when you look at the details, you see that there's 40 people lost their lives. We're seeing massive flooding anywhere from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, up through Connecticut, New York, up into Vermont, and places like that. People's lives are ripped apart from this, and it really irritates me when people, it's like, what do you want? You know, you had the coverage. There was 65 million people that were impacted directly by Hurricane Irene. Only by the grace of God was this system not worse than it was in terms of its wind, because if it had been as windy as what the forecasters originally said, there would have been so many more deaths, there would have been even more destruction and things like that. So only can I say this, is we'll have to be grateful that it wasn't worse than it already is, because we're talking billions of dollars worth of damage and flooding on a very large scale. So people nitpicking, saying about overhyped, yeah, it was 24 hours a day, yeah, fair enough, but at the same time it was a major impact and it was a major concern. Now authorities, if folks like the Weather Channel, AccuWeather, didn't cover this the way they did, even CNN, Fox, CBS, they didn't cover that, and there was a major hit, the storm was worse than it was originally thought to be, then there would have been so much more criticism. You know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But all I can say is, for the 40 odd people, 45 I believe even now, that are dead, the millions of people who are without power still, and of course the people whose lives have been turned upside down because their properties, their homes have been washed away, their towns are cut off from the rest of the world. Do these people who have been affected, do these people think that Irene was overhyped? Because I'm sure that they don't feel that way. So I just wanted to share my opinion on that. That I believe that the media did the right thing. I believe that the forecasters did a terrific job. They've done a wonderful job, and through them there's less deaths, because there was more preparation and more work put in to save a lot more lives, I believe. But I just wanted to share that, folks. It has been something that has been on my mind today, and I just wanted to share those thoughts with you. I'll probably get criticised for that, but it's a free world. You're allowed to say what you want. I'm sure there's been plenty of folk that have been negative that have said their piece, and I believe it's important I mentioned that. Anyway, folks, there is Katia right here, looking quite healthy, looking quite well organised, not really encountering much in the way of shear there. I believe there has been a bit of shear, and that will do very little in terms of holding this back from probably becoming a major hurricane in the next 2 to 3 days. The system will continue to trek westwards before it starts to take a more northwesterly jog. There's a series of frontal systems, troughs, that are going to trek west to east across North America, and depending on the nature and the strength and the depth of these troughs, that will be a major player once Katia gets towards the islands. Now, it looks as if it's going to be a bit further north. We're tracking, and Irene, of course, trekked more along this way, whereas Katia looks as if it's going to be more further north. And will it take that bend quicker, and therefore it would remain a fish storm, it would stay out to sea, but